My name is Samson Fleming, and this is my contract analysis assignment. I decided to do a video for this. We were asked to look over 3 scenarios involving court cases and point out the contract issues and the arguments on both sides and say who we think would win. For scenario A, I believe the issues for this one would be the competency of parties. Beyonce was obviously drunk when she agreed to sign over or to accept the duties of Rihanna in the contract with Brown. So Rihanna took advantage, and Brown did not receive the second half of his money. Rihanna's arguments would be that she assigned, like it says in the scenarios, she assigned her duties over to Beyonce, and she could say that she didn't know she was intoxicated. I would believe that would be perjury if she fell off a chair right afterwards, and Brown would be able to bring in Beyonce as a witness possibly for this case. Brown's arguments were that he wasn't paid the second half, of course, and also that he wasn't aware until after the fact of Rihanna trying to sign over her duties over to Beyonce. He wasn't aware of it until after. And then also, like I said, he could bring in Beyonce for a witness. For the second scenario, this scenario, they did the contract issues I see here. There isn't an issue with the assigning the duties over. I believe it was done correctly in this situation. But the difference in this one is that Beyonce is now being sued. Her arguments that she could have for this court case, for one, is that the contract was written on a napkin, and that would make it non-binding. That's a possible one she could do. I'm not sure how much it would hold up if she had the napkin still or anything like that. She could also say she never received the knives from Rihanna. That is also another argument. She wasn't competent to enter the contract because of the drink that Brown bought. That's another argument. And also she could say that Rihanna never signed the napkin, which would have been required for the contract to be binding. One more thing is the napkin. She could say she didn't even write on the napkin. The legitimacy of the napkin wasn't binding. The arguments for Brown on this one is it wasn't a successful assignment of responsibilities because he was there and all the parties were attendants. And this agreement is enforceable by law because it was written down in a way that was easily understood. In my eyes, I believe Brown would also still win this case, even though that it was written on a napkin. Everyone was competent, and I believe that, yeah, he would win this case. For the third scenario, this one's more complex. This one involves Jay-Z and T.I. trying to get a studio made by Billy Bob Contractor. He was only unable to finish the exterior of the building, and then they got Dougie and paid him 10 times more to finish the rest. Now, the contract issues with this scenario are the fact that Billy Bob wasn't able to get the material that Jay-Z and T.I. was looking for the inside, and also that Jay-Z and T.I. did not inform Billy Bob that they had Dougie finish the project. And also, yeah, that's pretty much all the contracts I saw. The arguments for this case would be for Jay-Z and T.I. is that Billy Bob breached his contract. He failed to perform in accordance to the contract that they had written. Billy Bob's arguments for this, one is unjust enrichment. Which is a principle that says that one should not be allowed to profit off of someone else's expense, and that is exactly what happened when they paid Dougie 10 times more than what they paid Billy Bob. Another argument he could have is the doctrine of substantial performance. which is that he would states that the party in the contract has to be paid for the work done, and I believe that's right. And that was one of the suits which I believe Billy Bob would win. From what we hear in the scenario, I believe Billy Bob would get paid for at least work done. And now for the Jay-Z to Jay-Z suing Billy Bob on this for what they paid Dougie for the rest of the building, they would not. I don't believe they would win that one because Billy Bob has the argument of a successful termination with them because of the principle of commercial impracticality. But yeah, I believe Billy Bob would win the first one, and Jay-Z and Ti would not get paid.